Cameras are rolling.
Hello, I'm Susan Siegel, Town Councilwoman for Town of Yorktown, and welcome to Straight Talk with Susan. Today I have two very special guests, but before I introduce them, I just want to give you just some additional comments. One, to remind you that if you're interested in learning what's happening at the town board or the planning board, that there are meeting summaries of all meetings, including the untelevised ones, at a website that I host, which is ciyinfo.org. Again, it has all town board and planning board meetings, both work sessions and regular meetings. And today, my guests are members of a new committee in Yorktown, a volunteer group called the Yorktown Trail Town Committee. And a disclaimer first, I am one of the founding members of the committee, and although I don't really use the trails. I'm not a hiker. I'm not a biker. I just explored Turkey Mountain and Sylvan Glen with my grandchildren when they were visiting. But intuitively, I realized that Yorktown has this wonderful asset, its trails, and that's what today's meeting is all about. So, Mark, welcome.
Thank
Coming,
you, Susan.
and Jane, and let me just give you some background. Mark is the co-chairman of the Yorktown Trail Town Committee, and I'm going to use some notes because both their resumes are very, very long, and I'll give you an abbreviated version. Mark is a member of the Westchester Cycle Club, the East Coast Greenway, the Rails to Trails Conservancy, and also a member of the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference. So he's both a biker and a hiker. And he also maintains some of Yorktown's great trails at Sylvan Glen, and he leads bicycle rides for the Westchester Cycle Club, both long distance and short distance runs. Jane Daniels, what can I say? Jane is Mrs. Yorktown Trails, okay, personified. She is currently a member of the board of the Hudson Valley Greenway, and the town of Yorktown just submitted a grant application to them. She is president of the Friends of FDR Park. She is a board member of the American Hiking Society, past chairman of the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, and the co-author with her husband Walt of a fabulous book that she'll be talking about later called Walkable Westchester. So with that introduction, Mark, why don't you start out by telling us why a Trail Town Committee was formed, what does Trail Town mean, and what this is all about?
Okay, I'm glad to do that.
All right.
So, starting point, Yorktown does have a lot of trails. It has walking trails, town-owned and private, such as T-Town. There are 20 different places in the town where you can walk. And it has the North County Trailway. And the reality is that none of them are very well known in town or outside town. They're a great resource. They're an opportunity for people to enjoy the outdoors. They're also an opportunity from an economic point of view, because if we can get more people to visit Yorktown to use the trails, such as the North County Trail, then that brings people in who will probably spend money in the local businesses. So it's an opportunity on both sides.
When people who aren't familiar with Yorktown, when they're coming through the trail, through Railroad Park, they can't see most of the businesses, so they don't know what's there.
That's right. I've met people in Railroad Park who've been from elsewhere, from places like New York City, and who've ridden all the way up here and are interested in finding a place to get some coffee or an ice cream, and they ask me, where can we find things? And the reality is it's right across the street. They just don't know it. You can see a few places through the bushes, but not much, and you don't realize that within a block or two you have many, many choices. And so that's one of the opportunities. You know, we met somebody yesterday who has moved to Yorktown from, I think it was Pennsylvania, with her family. And we asked, why did she pick Yorktown? And the answer was, because we have such great outdoors opportunities. This is somebody who likes cycling and hiking, and said, of all the places they looked at in the area, they found Yorktown was the best choice, and a great compromise in terms of being able to get into the city for work and business, but still be able to do outdoor things all the time.
Yeah, I think the trails are one of the best kept secrets. Unfortunately, it's a secret. Most people don't know them. I think if I didn't know Jane, I wouldn't have known much about it. And it was Jane who brought me to Sylvan Glen, which was a wonderful experience. So the focus of the Trail Town Committee is to do exactly what is Trail Town a new concept or?
So this is a concept that's been developed in various places around the country. Upstate New York, Kentucky, Pennsylvania are all places that have activities like this. And what it's about is taking towns that are on trails, such as the North County Trail, and building up a better relationship between the trail and the businesses and economic activities in the town. In our case, what we're interested in doing, one of many things, is making available to people who come through town on the North County Trailway some information about the town. And we've done this in a couple ways. One way is we've created this map right here. This is a map that shows the center of Yorktown and Yorktown Heights, and shows the trail as it goes through Yorktown Heights. And we published this in the spring. It's supported by advertising, but our main purpose of this, creating this map, is to use it not with advertising, on a sign that we want to put in Railroad Park. And the sign looks like this.
Well, let's show the map first. I don't know if our cameraman showed this, but this is the map that the committee, there it goes on the video, that the committee actually commissioned to have done.
Right.
Okay.
This map is specifically designed to show the North County Trail and to show all of the network of businesses and buildings in the center of town. It is designed to last a few years, so it doesn't show business names except in the form of advertising around the edges, but it does show people with icons where they can find ice cream and stuff like that. Then the second thing that we're doing is working on this sign. This is a picture of what the signs will look like. We want to post these next to the North County Trailway in Railroad Park and just as you enter town. And the sign will allow people who are on the trailway to simply look at something that tells them a little bit about Yorktown. It has background information, it has some pictures of the town, and also it shows them where they can find services in Yorktown. And we think that will help people who come into town, and it will help businesses in town.
Who's going to pay for that?
We're looking for sponsors right now. We have one sponsor who's agreed to do one sign. We'd like to do one on each end of Railroad Park as people come into town on the trailway, and we'd like to do one in the center of Railroad Park. And the reason for that is that the one in the center of the park is where people stop. And as you come into town, it's in case you're not stopping but just coming in and don't know how much there is available to you in the center of Yorktown Heights. So we're looking for sponsors to do each of these three signs, and they're not cheap. We're doing very good quality, professional-looking signs. They're about $3,500 each. The signs are made to be graffiti-proof. They're on iron posts that are made to match the existing lamp posts and signs that are already in Railroad Park, so that they'll blend in to the existing architecture of the space.
And if I'm not mistaken, the sponsor's name will be...
We'll put the sponsor's name on
it because they deserve the credit. Right?
They do deserve the
helping
credit,
pay for it.
But we're not going to be doing this as a commercial venture. Really, this is for goodwill from the sponsors. So it's not like you've got a big logo on the sign. It's more like at the bottom it'll say sponsored by or donated by whoever.
Okay. And how does this work out with the county?
So the county's been enthusiastic about the idea. They'd like to see better use of the town, of the North County Trailway, and the people we've talked to in town seem to think it's a good idea too. So we're going to start through the formal approval process right now. We've already got people who've said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And because the signs are made professionally and they're going to be good quality signs, I think it should go through very easily.
Okay, so you heard that. Individuals, businesses, whoever, we need some sponsorship. So if you want to get in touch and if you're ready to write out a check, okay, what do you do?
So you can contact us. We have a website. It's www.yorktowntrailtown.com, and you can find contact information there, and you can reach out to us, and we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, when we go home, we're going to quickly turn onto that website and see what email we got and how many sponsors we
That's
have.
right.
Okay. Now, this focuses on the Heights and on the North County Trail, but we have, as you said, 20 more other trails for hiking and for mountain biking. And that leads us to the second project that we've been working on, and that's called What's Nearby. And I'm going to let Jane, who's our hiking guru, talk about how we're not stopping at just the North County Trailway. We are talking about promoting all of the trails. And Jane, what have you done at the different trailheads?
Okay, thank you, Susan. We have posted
Why don't you take
a
that?
sign that is unique to each of the parks that says what's nearby. So for Sylvan Glen, people can find out where to have a sit-down restaurant, an ice cream, an ATM. In the case of Sylvan Glen,
Can I interrupt for a minute? Tell them where Sylvan Glen is, because I'll bet many people don't know.
Sylvan Glen is off Lexington Avenue, just north of Route 202. I'd like to point out the gas station at the corner where you have the stoplight. Go up that. You take the first right-hand turn and go down to the bottom of the hill, and you walk into a former quarry that existed 100 years ago. And it has a wonderful trail system in there. We're about to add some more trails to it. And it connects to the other parks that are in Yorktown, specifically Granite Knolls, which then connects via what we call the Yorktown Trailway over what people have called in the past the Bridge to Nowhere that goes over the Taconic. And that connects to the Legacy Fields. Mm-hmm. So that you have over 20 miles of trails in those three parks to go hiking or mountain biking. Then with a 7/10 of a mile walk along the road near Mercy College, you come out on Route 202 and you go into FDR Park, where there are another 5 miles of trails. And the Friends of FDR are just getting ready to build trails so that we can connect over to Baldwin Road near the French Hill School. The town has applied to get their one-third of a mile piece that gets you over to Downing Drive where Turco's is. So here is opportunities to go into town, etc. But the nice thing about the what's nearby Sylvan Glen or Granite Knolls or Legacy Fields is this particular map was done by a high school student, Kim Krupa, as part of the Yorktown internship program. We're very fortunate to have a young woman who had some artistic talent and was willing to learn how to use some new programs. And so this complements what's been done in the Heights. It's specifically for what's nearby.
If you're at Turkey Mountain and you're coming up because you read it in your book, Walkable Westchester, and so you visit Turkey Mountain down on 118, kind of opposite Peter Pratt's, but you don't know if you go, a mile north into the Heights area, right, where you can get a sit-down meal, your ice cream cone.
So on. We've used the Heights map for there, and which of course is more comprehensive than just a simple listing of stuff. And we felt we wouldn't duplicate the effort and just simply post the map without the advertisements on it in that particular kiosk. So that the signs are protected inside a kiosk so that and will be changed as necessary. It's a lot easier than the big sign.
What are the kiosks and what are the trails?
Okay, the kiosks are located in Legacy Fields. Okay, there's one on Buckhorn Street, which is out of Shrub Oak. Granite Knolls West, which is near the former Phoenix Academy, has a kiosk, and there's two in Sylvan Glen, one at the Lexington Avenue entrance, and the other is the entrance on Stony Street. The entrance on Stony Street is hard to find. And I'd like to tell people, If you pass Winding Court, you've gone just a tad too far. And if you're trying to locate it using a GPS, put in 2820 Stony Street, and it'll show you the entrance, which is right opposite. But
it's just a little clearing.
It's just a little clearing in the road. But Granite Knolls has something called the Giant Boulder, which is a glacial erratic. Susan can attest that it's rather impressive.
Oh yeah, I went there.
And you went there. And the quarry is, the quarries at Sylvan Glen are unique in the area. When I had my grandchildren down in D.C., I pointed out on the Arlington Bridge, visible from the top of the Washington Monument, that the eagles there came from Sylvan Glen.
Yeah. And didn't St. John the Divine Cathedral in New York City, the granite came from there?
They came from there, and they wanted more, which we can't give it to them because the park is not, we can't sell stuff out of the park. It's protected parkland, which is an interesting story in itself. Yeah. But on the first Sunday in October, I will be leading a hike for the town. It's an interpretive hike. So I'll talk about what's there, what you see, and how the stone was even quarried. So my book, Walkable Westchester, I chose this time to be able to have a cover picture, and it happens to be one of the quarries at Sylvan Glen. So it's a great place, and I was delighted to take Susan and her grandchildren there to show them what the quarries were like.
They had a ball between the hiking, climbing the rocks was fun, and then there's, I don't know what you call it, but it's not a shed, but an enclosure where they used to store the blasting equipment, yes. I think. And of course they climbed on top because they were kids and they had to climb on top of everything. And then there's a giant tree there. It was just fantastic. And again, I'm not a hiker, okay, but I could do it, right? And so it's really an easy hike because I think, and they're well marked out. So I encourage you to join Jane and go through this. Enjoy the hike, learn the history of the quarry, learn the history of Yorktown. It's super fantastic. And it's no cost. Tell them how they sign up for it.
Okay. All you have to do is just appear at I believe it's 2:30 on that first Sunday in October. And I'll look forward to having you there. And if a lot of people show up, my husband and I will split the group.
Okay. Now, Mark, you have something else coming up soon.
So, yes. There's an organization that runs a series of activities throughout the Hudson Valley, all the way from New York City up to Albany, throughout September. It's called the Hudson River Valley Ramble. And as part of that, the Yorktown Trail Conference and the Westchester Cycle Club are sponsoring a set of activities at Railroad Park and in downtown Yorktown Heights on September 12th. That's coming up in a week and a half. The activities include a bicycle safety check from 11 to 2 on that Saturday. We'll have somebody who is a certified bicycle safety person, and she will help people check the mechanical safety of their bikes, help them adjust bicycle helmets, help them learn how to get on and off bikes safely. That'll be in Railroad Park. And then just down the street at the Town Hall's commuter parking lot, we have 3 different rides starting at 9 a.m. that day. One is a relatively easy ride from Yorktown to the Croton Dam and back. I say relatively easy because it's still hilly. There's no place in Westchester that you can ride for any distance without hills. But it'll be relatively slow and practical for people who have some riding experience but maybe haven't ridden with a club. And then 2 other rides which are more of a challenge. Both will go from Yorktown to Ridgefield, Connecticut and back. That's about 49 miles. Via Katona, Pound Ridge, Vista, and coming back via North Salem. It's a beautiful route, goes via Titica's Reservoir, for example, and through some of the backwoods of Westchester County. It's not an easy ride. These are hilly routes, and as you can see, long. One ride will go a little faster than the other, so we can accommodate people who are willing to ride pretty quickly, and others who are riding a little bit less quickly, but still they have to be able to keep up. So we're welcome. These are open to the public. You don't have to be a member of the Westchester Cycle Club. do bring a helmet. We won't let you ride with us without a helmet.
Safety is
We're
important.
very interested in safety, and bring plenty of water. 2 water bottles is a good idea, and make sure your bike is in good condition. And road bikes are what we're talking about here, not hybrid bikes or mountain bikes for these longer distances. For the bicycle safety check, you can bring any kind of bike, but still bring a helmet.
Are you leading one of them?
Yes, I'll be leading the faster ride to Ridgefield, and then a friend of mine, another local resident, will lead the ride on a slower pace.
Okay. You mentioned just when we started about this new resident, who's a cyclist enthusiast. When we met her the other day, because she has just become a new member of the Trail Town Committee, I think we were all floored by when she said she cycles from her home in Yorktown to the Cortland Railroad Station every day and then gets on the train.
It didn't really surprise me. I've met other people who do that.
Really?
She's not the only one.
All right.
Not at all.
And then because she's new to Yorktown and she's been kind of figuring out what the safest and best routes are and the least hilly, Mark was telling her, Mark and another new member was suggesting, alternate streets. How does one join the Yorktown Trail Committee?
We are open to the public. We have meetings about once a month in Yorktown Heights, and so by contacting us via the website that we mentioned a minute ago, www.yorktowntrailtown.com, we can put you on the mailing list and let you know when our meetings occur. If you show up and want to be active, we'd love to have you.
Absolutely. This is strictly all volunteer.
And I do want to comment also that we're not just for cyclists and hikers. We're actually very interested in having business members. We have 3 already, the owner of the Trailside Cafe and JJ Scoop's House, the owner of the Cycle Shop in Yorktown, and the owner of Rita's Ice Cream. And they're all businesses that are involved because they're directly across the street from the North County Trailway, and obviously will benefit from whatever more business comes from there. But there are lots of other businesses in Yorktown that have the same need, and we'd love to have you get involved, and we'd love to work with local businesses to find ways to help them benefit from the trails.
Because it's all about making Yorktown a destination, and I think just based on the meeting we had the other night, we want to do more PR outreach to cycle clubs in New York City and even in Connecticut to let them know as they're coming through on that, whether it's the North County Trailway or using some of the mountain biking trails, that they have all of these other opportunities for their needs, restrooms, plus eating and fixing their bike if something happens.
And by the way, it's not just the Heights area. Also, the businesses in Shrub Oak and along Route 202 are fairly close to Sylvan Glen and some of the other parks. And so just as with what's nearby, we put a focus on making sure that we described the businesses that are in these other areas, not just the ones in Heights. And we'd love to work with businesses in those areas too.
So the trail that ends at Buckhorn Street is a perfect example because it ends at the end of a dead-end street, and if you don't know the area, you have no idea, why should I go up that street? Where is it going to lead me to anything? But the what's nearby at the Buckhorn kiosk has a whole list of places.
Right.
Again, not by the names of the businesses, but by the types of services that you have.
And if people don't know it, that trail is a mountain biking trail as well as a walking trail, and it leads into the mountain biking trails at Granite Knolls and Legacy Woods.
Right.
So from there, you can get down to Route 202 on a bike in, 10 or 15 minutes.
Which leads me to this book, the Yorktown Walk Book, which is another secret in Yorktown. Okay, this book was done several years ago by the Yorktown Land Trust, which is an organization, again, all volunteer that we've been working with. And they have, Jane and Mark both alluded to all these connected trails. And then there's a map inside. And kind of, when I saw this, that just kind of made, the light bulb went on in my head about, why don't we let people know about all of these trails? And this information is also on our website.
That's right.
And it shows the interconnectedness, of what you're doing.
That's right. The Yorktown Land Trust is a partners of ours
Yes.
in the Yorktown Trail Town Committee, and also the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, as well as the Westchester Cycle Club. And this book is available at the town hall, at the library, at Trailside Cafe, and other businesses in town. And I think it's just $5. It's well worth the $5.
Absolutely, and it's because it has, I don't have my glasses on, but it's got a chart as to what activities are at each park, and I think it has maps of the trails and backgrounds. Okay, this is just for Yorktown. Jane's book
Right.
is much more. How many
There's
parks
over-
and trails do you have in there?
There's over 600 miles of trails
Just in Westchester?
in Westchester, okay, and there's over 200 parks, and it goes into much more detail than the pamphlet is. It's available through the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, also available on Amazon.
Everything's on Amazon.
So everything is
It's
on Amazon. You were so right. But when you have a book and you have a map that shows you where all the parks are, you realize how rich a county that is so close to New York City is in places to walk. It's absolutely incredible. And we're just fortunate in Yorktown that we have so many in our town of places to be able to enjoy the outdoors. People come here, there's places you can go birding along the North County Trailway in the early morning if you want. You've got to walk over the reservoir, over the old railroad bridge. That is just wonderful. Come sunset to see that. Now that the fall foliage is starting, I recommend going out on the trailway and enjoying some of the foliage over the reservoir. It's another month before that happens. But it is a case where we're just fortunate that people in the past have thought of setting aside land, open space, and it's protected, so it stays in perpetuity as parks, that we can go out and we can enjoy things. And some of the parks, Turkey Mountain in particular, has one of the best views in Westchester County. You look out over the reservoir and out towards the Hudson River, and a lot of people go there and enjoy the park.
And on a good day, you can see the tops of the skyscrapers in New York City.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who maintains these trails?
Volunteers from the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference maintain them. Mark happens to maintain 2 of them in Sylvan Glen. I'm the supervisor of maintainers. In other words, I'm sort of Mark's boss for the trails in Sylvan Glen, Granite Knolls, Legacy Fields area, Turkey Mountain, and then Hilltop Hanover, FDR Park, and then other people take care of trails elsewhere in the county for municipalities and nonprofits because they like volunteers that claim ownership. You ask Mark about his trail, what is it? It's your trail.
Exactly.
It's not my park. I can't claim it's my park, but it's his trail.
And I can tell you what needs to be done to improve it and so forth.
He'll come after me and say, hey, I need some help doing such and such, and then I get some help in to do it, and I've taught him some things.
Well, I remember when we were going through Sylvan Glen, and as we're going down the trail, there was a branch or something that had gone across the trail, and Jane just picked it up and moved it away and cleared the way.
After some of the heavy storms we had, I think Jane and her husband spent a lot of time clearing not just branches but trees right off the trail.
Right. Yeah, Irene and Sandy did a job, especially Irene, and my husband and I were out there a number of times getting it so that people could get out there and hike. So if people notice things that need improving, there's wet areas or there's a tree down, if they just let report a problem to the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference or even to the Trail Town Committee, that's fine. We'll get out and try to get it out as soon as possible.
Okay, and also let me add that the Scouts have also done have done things.
Eagle projects are very common. I've done several of them within the park, and we're delighted to have them. They've built trails, they've built bridges, and it's just a great way to get youth involved in the outdoors, and they're proud of what they do.
We have about 30 seconds left. Is there anything more you want to add? First of all, I want to say personally, I want to thank both of you. Jane, for not just what you've done for the Trail Town Committee, but what you've done for trails in Yorktown. And Mark, I have to say, as just a member of the committee, you have been outstanding in getting a group together and working. And most of the people are very busy. They have full-time jobs. and we managed to get things done. So I want to personally thank you for your commitment to this and getting all of these projects done, because the committee's only been in existence for about a year.
That's right.
A little less than a year. And I think it's a phenomenal amount. And I know you've got a lot of plans for the future.
That's right.
Okay? With this, these are our first projects, and probably you have a long list?
Absolutely. We have other ideas.
Okay.
But meanwhile, I think the comment I would make is we're getting into September. It's a beautiful time of the year. I repeat what Jane said. Get outdoors and enjoy all these trails.
Absolutely. They are there to be enjoyed. Okay.
That's right.
And thank you for maintaining them. And again, if anybody is interested in joining the Trail Town Committee, it's yorktowntrailtown.com, and just fill out the contact.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
I think the camera will roll and just finish. Okay.
Okay.